Most people say they want to win, but what they really want is the feeling of winning without the years of boredom and repetition, the rejection and the pressure and that comes before it. And everybody loves the highlight reel. Nobody loves the mornings where nothing is working or and the nights where you question yourself or the weeks where it feels like you're putting in the effort for absolutely no reward. And winning does sound exciting until you realize it usually looks repetitive, lonely, and painfully ordinary while you're in the middle of it. And that's the part nobody posts. The truth is that winning is in business, fitness, sports, money, relationships, or just life in general almost never comes from one massive breakthrough. It comes from stacking small decisions that, most people are too distracted or too impatient to keep repeating. And the people who eventually separate themselves are not always the smartest or the most talented. They are usually the people who can stay consistent long enough for the results to finally catch up to the work. And that sounds simple, but consistency is brutally hard when there's no applause, no guarantee, and no immediate payoff. And, one of the biggest lies people believe is that motivation creates success, and motivation is unreliable. Motivation changed based on mood, sleep, stress, weather, money, or relationships and confidence. And if your entire life depends on feeling motivated every day, you will eventually quit. And the people who win will build systems instead of depending on emotions, and they create routines that carry them through the days where they don't feel inspired. And that means showing up when progress feels invisible. It means doing the work before you feel ready. It means understanding that discipline is often more valuable than raw talent. Because discipline keeps moving when emotions disappear, and a talented person with weak habits will usually lose to an average person with relentless consistency over a long enough timeline. Another thing it really takes to win is the ability to tolerate being misunderstood. The second you start taking your goals serious, some people will think you're obsessed, selfish, unrealistic, or arrogant, and or crazy. And that's normal. Most people judge based on what feels comfortable to them. And if you suddenly become more focused, more ambitious, or more disciplined, it reminds other people of excuses they continue to make. And not everybody will support your growth because your growth changes the dynamic. And winning requires accepting that approval from everyone is impossible. You cannot build an extraordinary life while constantly needing validation from ordinary thinking. And sometimes the price of progress is temporary isolation. And people also underestimate how much emotional control matters. Most people lose because they react emotionally to temporary setbacks or one bad week and they think they're failing, and one rejection and they stop trying, and one criticism and they don't doubt themselves completely. I get that. Like I get negative things in the comments every day on all my channels, and it's hard some days. People making fun of my weight, making fun of me, and it's just they live miserable lives and they want to make you miserable too. But winners understand that emotions are temporary, but decisions have long-term consequences. They learn how to stay calm under pressure, especially when things are not going their way. The ability to keep executing while frustrated, tired, embarrassed, or uncertain is a massive advantage because, most people completely they fall apart the second life becomes uncomfortable. Patience is another requirement nobody wants to hear about. We live in a culture where people expect results instantly. They start a business and expect money in 3 months. They go to the gym for 2 weeks and expect that transformation. They upload content for a month and expect millions of views and real success, and usually takes longer than people imagine because building something meaningful requires time, skills, reputation, trust, and momentum to develop. And, most people they quit right before progress compounds because they make slow progress for failure. But what they don't realize is that many successful people look unsuccessful for years before the results finally become visible. And winning also requires the brutal honesty with yourself. A lot of people stay stuck because they spend more time protecting their ego than improving their weakness. They blame the economy, the timing, the luck, other people, or the algorithm for everything. Meanwhile, they avoid admitting that maybe their effort is inconsistent, their skills are average, or their focus is weak. And self awareness is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront reality instead of the fantasy. But the moment you become honest about, you know, where you are, you finally gain the ability to improve. You can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. Another overlooked part of winning is energy management. Everybody talks about time management, but exhausted people waste time constantly. If your sleep is terrible, which I had to fix this last week, my wife came to me and said, you're just not yourself here lately. And it's something I had to fix. Get some more sleep, your mind is scattered when you're tired, and your body feels drained, and everything becomes harder. High performance is connected to typical physical and mental energy more than most people realize, and that's why successful people often protect their routines so aggressively. They understand that clarity, focus, and endurance are competitive advantages, and even something as simple as having the right tools, the setup, or equipment can improve your consistency and productivity. And if you want to check out the products that can help optimize your workflow or performance, there's lots of other things online that can help with that. And winning also means becoming comfortable with repetition. The glamorous idea of success is exciting, but the actual process is usually repetitive beyond belief. And athletes repeat drills, entrepreneurs repeat sales calls, and writers rewrite sentences. And you musicians, they practice scale, and content creators, they edit for hours. And mastery often comes from doing simple things at a higher level over and over again until they become automatic. And the problem is that repetition, it feels boring, and most people, they constantly chase novelty because novelty feels exciting, but excitement does not always create the results. Repetition does. And one of the hardest truths is that winning often demands sacrifice. You may have to sacrifice free time, comfort, sleep, entertainment, or even relationships. Lord knows I've sacrificed my relationship just to keep up with the YouTube game. Streaming takes time out of my time and life in the evenings, but that's part of the sacrifice, and it no longer aligns with where you're going. And every serious goal comes with trade offs. The issue is that people want high level outcomes while keeping low level habits and distractions. They want elite results while protecting every comfort zone they have. And that rarely works if you study people who achieve exceptional things. And you'll notice they often become temporary obsessed. They narrowed their focus, protected their time, and treated their goals with urgency instead of casually hoping things would magically work out. And failure is another unavoidable process, part of the process. Most successful people fail far more times than the average person realize. The difference is that they don't attach their identity to every setback. They treat the failure as feedback instead of proof that they should quit. And losing teachers teaches lessons that winning never will. And failure exposes weak systems, poor preparation, emotional reaction, and blind spots. And if you can survive the failure without letting it destroy your confidence, you become extremely dangerous because now experience starts working in your favor. And the environment around you, it matters more than people think too. If you spend all of your time around negative, lazy, distracted, or cynical people, eventually their mindset influences you, whether you notice it or not. Humans adapt to the standards around them, and that's why ambitious people often seek environments that challenge them. They want to be around people who discipline and growth and learning and execution. And your environment either stretches your ambition or it shrinks it. Another thing it really takes to win is the ability to delay gratification. Most people choose short-term comfort over long-term rewards. They choose scrolling over studying, excuses over effort, and entertainment over development because the brain naturally wants that immediate pressure. But winning requires training yourself to prioritize the future of the moment. And that means investing in skills before they pay off, and saving money before you feel rich, and practicing discipline before anyone notices results. Delayed gratification is difficult because the rewards, they feel distant, but it's one of the clearest predictors of long-term success. And confidence is important too, but real confidence is not loud. Real confidence comes from preparation. When you put in the work repeatedly, you carry yourself differently. Fake confidence disappears under pressure because it has no foundation, and genuine confidence survives the pressure because it is backed by the evidence. And that's why preparation matters so much. The work you do privately eventually determines how you perform publicly. And at the same time, winning is not about becoming perfect. Perfectionism destroys the momentum because it convinces people not to start. And until conditions are almost never perfect, successful people take imperfect actions constantly. They learn while moving instead of waiting endlessly. And progress usually belongs to people who are willing to look inexperienced for a while instead of hiding until they feel completely ready. And maybe the biggest thing it really takes to win is the persistence, not motivation for a week and not excitement for a month, persistence for years, and the ability to keep going when progress slows, and when people doubt you, when results feel delayed, and when your mind starts questioning the progress. And Most people underestimate how powerful resistance becomes when they quit too early to witness the compounding effect of the consistent effort. Small improvements repeated long enough create massive separation over time. And the reality is that winning is rarely one giant moment. It is usually the result of thousands of quiet decisions nobody sees. It's waking up early when you didn't want to. It's staying focused when distractions are everywhere. It's learning from mistakes instead of hiding from them. It's controlling the emotions instead of letting emotions control you. It's continuing after rejection, criticism, setbacks, and failures. It's choosing the long term growth over short term comfort again and again and again until your habits eventually shape your identity. That's it's a tough pill to swallow, and it usually brings belongs to people willing to endure what others avoid long enough to who others never will. So, if you found value in today's video, please like and subscribe. A subscription is more important than anything. We're trying to grow this channel, and without the subscription, we just can't seem to grow on YouTube without that. So, if you found value in today's video, please subscribe. And I'd like to see you on the next one. We're starting a journey here, and I just want to start positivity as much as best as I possibly can. I not always that way every day, but I'm going to try my best. So, if you want to be a part of that, I'd love to see you come back to the next video. And so, subscribe and help us grow here. And we'll see you on the next one. We'll see you guys tomorrow.